Wouldn't it be nice if we could know what will happen in advance when trading? Today we're going to try and predict the future of the market using a unique indicator that tries to show us what will happen before it actually occurs. You've probably noticed something about all of your indicators. They all lag and tend to give signals after part of the movement or all of the movement has already happened. Obviously, this isn't ideal. It can put us on the wrong side of the market every time we take a trade. What if we could find a way to anticipate the market moves and match the tops and bottoms of the price more accurately? That's what this indicator aims to do. Take a look at how it behaves with price. Before the market is strongly reversing, it is already starting to move downward. You'll notice reversals in the indicator match very closely to reversals in price, unlike regular indicators which reverse with a noticeable delay. This is in combination with it still doing a good job filtering out noise. Remember, the goal is to have as little noise giving meaningless signals as possible while still being reactive enough to the market to show reversals in time. An indicator that filters out a lot of noise but is always late isn't very useful. Likewise, an indicator that fails to filter out any noise but is very reactive to price still isn't ideal. Okay, now this indicator doesn't literally predict the future perfectly. That should be obvious. There is no indicator or model that can perfectly predict the market, but we can still try. If I take some of the extra plotting away, you can see how the tops of the indicator line up very closely to the actual market. Unlike many indicators which are always delayed or have too much noise to be useful, this indicator can anticipate the tops and bottoms of a market cycle. But there are some limitations we need to understand in order to use it effectively. We also need to understand a couple of the settings because you'll need to know how to change them. What does this indicator really do? In short, it gives us a filter with a negative group delay. You don't need to understand these terms or the full extent of their implications. For our purposes, you can just think of group delay as the lag of the indicator. Let's imagine the market is just a simple sine wave. If I put a moving average indicator over the market, it will obviously lag by some amount. Its movement will be delayed and the tops and bottoms of the moving average will be slightly offset from the actual tops and bottoms of the price. But what if instead of the moving average being offset forward in time, it was offset backwards in time, having a negative delay? We could have an indicator with negative lag, meaning it's showing what will happen with the market or signal rather than a delayed version. That's exactly what this indicator accomplishes, with some limitations, and understanding these limitations is essential to using the indicator. First, let's look at the most important setting. This is the period of the indicator. This works similarly to the length of regular indicators, but more specifically, it's the period of the bandpass filter. The bandpass filter is not the same as the predictive filter. We have to use a bandpass filter on the price first before we are able to calculate the prediction. That bandpass filter has parameters that need to be set. We use a bandpass filter because that's the first requirement for the predictive filter. The input must be band limited. Many different frequencies are occurring in the market at once, and the bandpass filter allows only a small range to pass through. Think of it like we're tuning in to a specific rhythm in the market that we want to capture. We band limit the price so that it can be put into the predictive algorithm. Changing the period of the bandpass filter changes the size of the market cycles we are looking to capture. Increasing the period captures cycles with a longer wavelength. To get a better view of what's happening, I'm turning off the color fill, and we'll come back to that later. If I set the period to 10, we get higher frequency oscillations. You can see the output of the bandpass filter in white, while the Voss line is in blue. Looking at the bandpass filter price versus the Voss line, we are able to see the predictive power. The peaks of the blue Voss line occur before the peaks of the white bandpass filter. We can even change how far into the future we want to see. The predict setting of the indicator is how many time points in advance to predict. It's recommended not to go over 3, but you can experiment and see what happens as you increase it. You'll notice the peaks move even further back in time, but the indicator does become a little more unstable. Lastly, we have the bandwidth. In some ways, this acts as the smoothing of the filter. Increasing the bandwidth allows a larger range of frequencies through, and has the effect of introducing more noise. Lowering it smooths the indicator but could also add some lag. I found even at a lower bandwidth like 0.1, the indicator still didn't lag that much and remained very smooth. You can experiment with this setting on your own, but I would recommend not increasing it too much as a lot of noise is introduced. The last setting is very simple and something I added to the original. The channel threshold controls the purple bands which show us relative highs and lows of the indicator to give you an idea where reversals might occur. Similar to an RSI's overbought and oversold zone, lowering this just moves the bands inward. Lastly, let's talk about how to actually use the indicator for signals. Just looking at the indicator, we see the most obvious signal. When the Voss line crosses down through the filter line, we get a red fill for a sell position. The opposite happens when the Voss line crosses up through the filter line. We use the cross between the two lines to develop trading signals. You might be familiar with using line crosses on an oscillator for entries, like on the stochastic RSI. The cool thing about this indicator is that since the Voss line is created in advance of the filter line, we don't introduce a lot of lag by waiting for the cross. Imagine if we took the white filter line and then put a moving average over it and used crosses with that to develop trade rules. We would be adding a large amount of lag in order to use the cross signals. With this, we're able to use the line cross signals that aren't delayed as much as with normal indicators. A second way we could use the indicator is just like a normal overbought and oversold oscillator with the upper and lower lines. We can turn off the color fill and use the blue Voss line as our indicator line. With this strategy, we don't wait for the cross down through the filter line. We just wait for the Voss line to move above our threshold lines. Although you should be careful doing this method, you could end up entering too early on trades by not waiting for the cross down through the filter. We can combine both of these methods for another strategy. We wait until the Voss line has crossed over the bands and then wait for it to cross through the filter to confirm the trade. This way, we enter trades after a relatively large amount of momentum has been expended in one direction, while also confirming a new direction change with the cross down. One very important limitation of the indicator is to be aware of its failure when the market is trending heavily. This indicator captures cyclical motion up and down. If the market is only moving in one direction, there is no movement to capture and the indicator will fail. If the market is not trending, but the indicator is not capturing large enough movements, increase the period to capture larger cycles. This indicator is available to everyone with a TradingView account with the link in the description. Click the link to the indicator below and use the blue star button for the indicator to appear in your favorites where you can apply it to your chart. If you don't have a TradingView account, you can sign up for free with the link below as well. This indicator is based on a paper by Henning Voss and implemented for trading by John Elhers. I'll leave a link to the original paper and John Elhers' paper about implementation for trading in the description. For another cool Elhers indicator, check out my video on the RSI-H, an improved version of the regular RSI. If you're interested in more advanced indicators, check out the Quantifica Patreon, where you can get access to the entire library of all current and future premium Quantifica indicators. Link in the description. If you found this video useful, a like would be greatly appreciated. If you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching.